Amanda. Amanda ngempela ke manje. Comrades siyabonga kakhulu. Siyabonga. Amanda. Hey, comrades. Thanks. Thank you very much. I will not explain it. Mphathi wohlelo Sibusiso Shwala. Is our program director today. Leadership of the Alliance that is here with us today. Ukhona unobhalala weSanko uComrade Themkosi uyibomvu naye khona la kule region noma kule district. And I need to express appreciations for the generous introduction from the Deputy Secretary. Ogata's introduction, a very political. And thank you very much. Ukhona uMangete, Secretary of Convocation, Mangete. Ukhona uSihlalo ICL, ukhona phakathi kwethu. Kanye nayo ke leadership collective alida nayo. Namanye ama-comrades akhona phakathi kwethu. Ngibonile khona uComrade uAce kama apha eMandeni leDamabovu. Abonga Comrade Ace. Khona uComrade uZakhele Mnqayi uDG le office elikhulu lika Premier of Province. Kodwa usuka khona la endaweni Mkhoyi. Ngibonile khona umkhwanazi lapha phezulu. Awundonga suka le Mabuyeni likhona lonke ibandla khona amakhansela lapha ase district bandla abahloniphekile nase Mthonjaneni your worship why mayor former mayor former njengathi sonke. So thank you very much, comrades. Otherwise, all protocol observed and you are all acknowledged and appreciated. First, I need to sincerely express my appreciations for the invitation by the Young Communist League of this branch to this particular important event. It is indeed a very important event because all of us know tomorrow we have a ceremony once more at the University of Zululand, a graduation ceremony, as the program director was mentioning. And we do need to express our appreciations for those who have worked very hard and are then due to graduate tomorrow. And of course, those who will graduate later. Indeed, it's an honor to say to you, congratulations over and above your parents. The University of Zululand, as you know, has of late been associated with selling of degrees and diplomas. But we hope that you, as the leadership of the students and the leadership of the university, has overcome this problem or will overcome this particular problem, so that the university indeed give you degrees that are worth as degrees, so that you get employment without any problem outside when you leave the university. You don't get followed by somebody saying, where did you graduate from the University of Zululand or that university? That you need to fight for. You need to fight for the integrity of your degrees. It is very, very important for the rest of your lives. It may be nice to get something in a wayward manner, but when it follows you, tarnishes your image, dashes all your integrity outside, it becomes a problem. But we hope that you have overcome this particular problem. I just want to say, this invitation and this event is of course a special one. Of course, I'm referring to the invitation because it comes from you as the students and your leadership in the form of the Young Communist League, who are part of our young people in the country, in the province. And of course, young people in any country, and students in particular, are a big asset in any given country. There's no country that can talk proudly unless it ensures that it invests handsomely to its future in the form of education, but particularly higher education, which you are busy with. And therefore, the fact that you are here yourselves, the fact that you are pursuing your studies yourselves, it's a source of pride to us who are adults, whether we are in government, whether outside government, people who are in leadership, especially of the African National Congress, the ruling party in the country. When you see students going about their studies, preparing for their future, indeed you see the future of the country. And therefore we do want to plead with you and say, please take your studies seriously. It is at this particular moment that you are effective as a learner. You are young, you are energetic, you don't have ailments in your body, you don't have headaches, you don't have anything. You are fresh. And you need to use that freshness and invest into your own future while you still can. Unopala mentioned ukuthi I was a student at some point at this university. Indeed, it is true. But I got fired when we were about to write our final exams in our 4th year, and we got fired. And when we got fired, others came back. They were called back the following year. And I received a letter that said, I am not expected back either as a full-time or part-time or even at Umlazi campus. So, fired. And then I had to register with UNISA, and at that time when you register with another university from another university, you needed what is called a testimonial. And so I had to come back here to plead for a testimonial. And they couldn't give me because I had a bad record, as far as they are concerned. Until I left the administration building, and on my way towards the gate, I met a clerk with whom I had come across. And he asked me, what is it that I wanted? And I said to him, hey, you know, I just need a testimonial. And they say I can't get one because my records are red, not as red as you are. They say I was in bad books. And we talked for a while, and then he said, no, there is a letter that he can write. Maybe it can help me. And then he wrote, we came in and he wrote a letter. The letter was saying, it was addressed to UNISA, saying, you can take this particular student at your own risk. It was written like that, with my number and my name. And I took the letter literally, I submitted it to UNISA, and to my shock, they accepted me. And I was able to finish my degree at their own risk. Those were the times. Comrades, I've said already that you are young people and you are energetic. That defines you as young people of our country, of our continent, and in the whole world. And all of you must know and stay energetic as young people. But the second duty as young people is to be militant. You need to be militant, of course with caution, but you need to be militant. That's your duty as young people. But you also need to be vibrant in terms of your thinking. Think out of the box. I put that thing here. It's an old baboon. It's the same baboon above and below, but above it sits there and it says, sometimes I sit and thinks, he said, but sometimes I just sit. Don't mind the language. There's a baboon that says so. It doesn't know the correct language, the English language. I'm saying as a student, as a young person, you can't afford to just sit. At least you need to sit and think. That is your duty as a young person. All the time. As young people, you need to be challenging all the time. Challenge even the obvious and move from the obvious to the very hidden and very complicated things that are happening around you. You can't just grow into a status quo of any kind without you questioning it. Any status quo. Challenge it, even if it's correct. Convince yourself, ask yourself questions. Why is it correct? And then satisfy yourself and your mind that it is indeed correct because you have interrogated it. Not because somebody told somebody who was told by somebody that it is correct. And you fit in there as a young person. And I want to conclude these remarks by saying to you, including members of the ANC Youth League who are here, please avoid looking young only in the face, but your body and your mind is actually telling a different story. shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. There must be coordination in your face, your body, and the way in which your mind works as a young person. And when you speak, make sure it is you. Make sure it is you. Even if you're bad, but it is you. Noma ngabe wrong, kodwa kungcono ukuthi kube wrong wena. Kube wrong wena, kodwa kube kuwe. Ungathi mawukhuluma bese sithi usibani manje omunye eceleni. You are young and you need to be proud of being young. And you need to be original. It's known that as a young person, you still have to learn this and that. And there would be a mistake here and there, and there would be limitations here and there, but it must be you. And that is very important. You can't afford, as a young person, not to think for yourself and be original. You start saying things that a 70-year-old is saying. You think like a 70-year-old. You behave like a 70-year-old. Yourself, at a young age. If we see in you a 70-year-old, when you grow, so please, you happen to be students here, an environment that is helping you to cultivate originality in yourself so that you grow and become even an adult and a leader, but it is you. At some point, the reason why I'm telling this story, comrades, why I'm very emphatic on this. As students at this university, at some point, we were visited by one fellow. It was Jordan Guban. He had been a very vibrant member of the Youth League and subsequently a member of the ANC, and he went into exile. And something happened and he came back and he became a member of the AFP. Perhaps there's nothing wrong with that, it's just democracy, I suppose. And then he told us a story, fully packed at the chapel. Story that said, yes, as a young person, when he grew up, he belonged to a school choir. And he said they were always called to get up very early, start practicing around 6:30, so that by 7:30, they then go to class. And he said sometimes it would be very difficult because you would need to wake up very early, and sometimes it would be in winter and it would be very cold and you would find it difficult to wake up. And he says he would then dodge those sessions and rejoin either late or the following day, something like that. And then he was, of course, recruiting us, saying we must join the IFP. So one student stood up, thought originally, and said, Ubane, you told us a very good story about what you did when you were still young. You were a member of a choir. You sang very well. But when it was cold, you would then dodge, because you looked for comfort. Udodge amaklasa sekuseni okucula. Kodwa wakhula nayo lento. Why exile? Uthe mase kunzima kwa-ANC e-exile, wasujoyina i-IFP. Yoba usubuya usuzothi asijoyine i-IFP. Mntwana wakho, i-comfort lo wayefuna usemncane into yokudoda nje umkhubo wakhe ukhule nawo. There's the point. If you grow up with a particular tendency as a young person without thinking carefully about it, it then determines the kind of a person you become when you are an adult. Noma ungasayithandi wayefunda umncane, then it determines who you become at a later stage. Please avoid it. I don't know whether you have had an opportunity to think about or to analyze and synthesize the struggle for free education in the country and student politics in general. It would have been nice if you've had that opportunity. There were so many activities in our country last year. Students in all institutions on fees must fall. And it shook the country. And it moved to the office of the President and the office of the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Comrade Blade. Well, at one point, I did note that I felt a bit sympathetic because I was saying I wish that the students would be able to read every statement and understand every statement that we make at the national level. When the president says, for instance, there must be no increase in all these institutions, that resonated very well with what you were calling for. And I'm sure you were happy. But then Comrade Blade comes and say, no more than 8%, if any increase at all. And I hope that you would have sat and analyzed, and you would have been able to come to a proper conclusion in terms of the two statements, which caused tension between comrades at the national level, because they seemed to be speaking past one another. But I think that Blade, when he went to the office and started putting things together, he felt that, look, and faced the rectors of all the universities, it became clear that, in fact, much as we can like to entertain and follow any statement or every statement along the lines of fees must fall, but there is this thing called feasibility, this thing called reality that confronts you. That if you are a leader, you must learn to confront all the time, no matter how bitter it is. Because once you start pushing yourselves into lying, you come here, you say, we are going to do it. You are the person tomorrow who is going to say, you said 1, 2, 3. And if I can no longer do it, it becomes very difficult to change, because you stand by the original statement. So sometimes, whatever statement that gets made, please sit, give yourself an opportunity to think. But without necessarily compromising the call for free education. That's fine. That's your duty to do it. But look at feasibility and decide on the course of action. I'm therefore saying, if you haven't had an opportunity to analyze everything that happened last year, all the statements, all the activities, the gains that you made, everything, please do so at some point during the year. You need to move forward, but you need to look back at some stage to find out where you are and then be able to forge ahead. If you keep on moving and moving and moving without looking back, retrace your steps, think a little bit about what you did yesterday. Even in your studies, you don't go to write exams without having just had a look at what you have learned during quarter or something like that, or a semester. You need to look back, move ahead, look back all the time so that you assure yourself that you are in the correct path. So please, if you haven't had an opportunity leadership of calling all the student formations, just put the topic, where are we with student politics in the country? Where are our struggles, not just one, but all our struggles as students? What do we need to do next year so that you don't get confused? You lead from clarity. That is very important. Please do so. In any case, education, tertiary education in particular, should be part of radical economic transformation. How do we think about radical economic transformation without transforming education? Such that when you leave universities, whatever you would have been pursuing, at least a remarkable number of yourselves get taken, you get jobs. To reverse what seems to be happening at the moment, where you start panicking in your final year because you don't know whether you're going to be employed, but you've gone through a 4-year degree, in some cases 5-year degree. Shouldn't be. South Africa is not a poor country. It is in the middle, somewhere in the middle. And were it not for some of our mishaps, we would be quite advanced in terms of our economic development. But sometimes we stagnate, and then things do not move. But I'm saying you need to force into the agenda of economic transformation the whole issue of education, especially higher education and training, and fix whatever is wrong. If it is the curriculum, if it is whatever that affects the quality of education in tertiary institutions, or we are not supplying good lecturers to you, or there are some weaknesses in administration, whatever aspect of university education that affects you, you need to put it on the agenda. But overall, there can't be any radical economic transformation without a radical transformation of education, including education at tertiary level. You have to make it part and parcel, so that we stop making a phrase, all of us, whenever it suits us, radical economic transformation. But we don't elaborate, we don't give any flesh, and we don't give any aspect, but we just become relevant because we're talking about radical economic transformation. Even if what we go out to do is the very, very opposite of what we're talking about. But go and think and find a way of putting education as an aspect, a very important aspect, on economic transformation. Comrades, have just emerged from a series of commemorations of Comrade Krisan in the country. Of course, even in this part of the province, we still draw a lot of inspiration from Comrade Krisan. Somewhere in 1993, he came here at the height of violence in this area of Mpangeni, Richards Bay. He came to Esikhaweni together with Comrade Cyril, who was Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Chris Ali was General Secretary of the party. And they were also accompanied by Comrade J. Naidu, who was General Secretary of COSAT at that time. So it was a very vibrant secretariat. And these comrades were really leading the alliance. And the alliance was very vibrant. You would know, even if you are in a branch of the ANC, that you cannot doubt the relevance of the alliance because of the manner in which they were leading us as secretaries of the alliance. Very clear, very united, showing us the direction and knowing where to go when there are crises, when comrades are facing crisis. They would go to that particular area, face and confront the problems and give hope to the comrades. And at that time,